we'll shift into a collective discussion, which may be a little bit tricky because that was very sobering and powerful. And I thank you for your work. But of course, I thank you, Ashley, as well for your work, because both are such important examples of how art has such potential for making a difference, you know, for educating, as you said, for raising awareness, and for making an impact on how people live and move and relate in the world. So I'll open the, you know, anyone is welcome to turn on a microphone, put things in the chat. You can ask questions. You can, and Hannah and Ashley, of course, can also pose questions. So I'll stop talking for a moment and see what happens, and then I'll come back on and ask a question myself. I feel like a moment of silence is actually pretty appropriate right now. Yeah, maybe we just take a breath together. I do appreciate also how you mentioned the vibrancy of the colors and the process of your portraiture making, because while it's really important to understand the hard facts, I think it's also important to celebrate their lives, right? And so I think the work itself is really doing that in a really beautiful way. So just want to share that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was kind of a twofold project. The sort of the making of the portraits themselves was a very like celebratory, remembratory, and then that kind of for me prompted personal research, which I sort of then attached to them to present together as sort of the other side of that.
For those who weren't with us for the first presentation, Ashley was, well, the title was Beyond Representation, Evolving the Narratives of Identities on Screen. And Ashley was talking about representation and specifically in television and how that has changed over the years, and how powerful that can be as a communication tool, just in terms of the social fabric of the world. And I think television is also our source of news, and for many people, right? And so like that, and you talked about George Floyd and how that became, you know, because of that access to the incident, really started this movement of activism, right? And so I think there is some synergy there.
Hi, I'm Cheryl. Can you hear me? Hi, I'm Cheryl Banks. I just want to tell Hannah that I very much appreciated her well-spoken work that she's done tonight. It really, it's hard not to have tears while you present it. But you did a good job. Has educated me in many ways. So I have read some of the bios already, but just to hear it verbally in my ears, it hits me in a different place in my soul. And you did a wonderful job representing the emotion, the depth of the heart of what people are going through, and the desperate need for change in our country. Oh, I lost it. I don't know what happened.
Thank you.
No, we can still, we can hear it
Morgan.
to you.
Do we see it? Oh, there we go.
There you
Okay.
go.
Thank you, Hannah, for all the time and care and artistic communication that you gave us tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate that feedback. It means a lot.
We had a presentation this afternoon about slow time, so I'm trying to be patient. It's takes time to build the courage sometimes to speak. So I'll let a little more time pass.
Totally shifting gears. To a question I didn't have a chance to ask Ashley at the end of her presentation. But do you have a favorite TV show or one that you would recommend as either a great example of representation or that makes you really think, or just one that so you should watch, like everyone should see for whatever reason you might have? Or movie, I guess.
Oh my goodness, that ebbs and flows all the time. Wow. So truthfully, I would say favorite television show of all time is I Love Lucy. And really the reason why is because I respect what Lucy was trying to, or what Lucille Ball was really trying to portray. There was an amazing documentary film that was recently done and featured on Amazon Prime that kind of featured the relationship between her and her husband. And there were several moments during that film that really just, you got to really feel Lucille in terms of her way of saying, no, we can't shoot this scene this way. It has to be authentic. Like, how would a woman respond to her husband who said X? And I appreciate that so much about her artistry. Yes, we laugh at the Lucy Desi Comedy Hours and the I Love Lucy show and all those different things, but she had an interesting approach to really making sure authenticity was central to the work. And so that is my favorite show. But in terms of a show that I think does an amazing job of representation, truthfully, and I think it's really because it's what I'm watching right now, is the show Grace and Frankie. I really love that show. I think it's amazing to see the narratives of seasoned adults be able to grapple with what's happening presently. And of course, that show is on Netflix. But I really appreciate the different threads that are coming out. Yes, it's comedic, but there's a lot of heart that's in the belly of that. And then I would say another show, there's no more seasons, I don't believe. It's called Master of None. And the writer Lena Waithe, who was, I think, 34 years old when she received an Emmy for her episode, her pivotal episode of Coming Out, for that actual television series called Master of None. She's written some of the other episodes for the work there. I think it's beautifully written, and it breathes a different narrative into the lived experiences of just difference, and how do we understand, individual and collective stories. But there's tons of shows that I love that I can appreciate for its subtle nuances. But I will just say the streaming networks that are now coming out with their own shows where there's no like filter on language and, content, those are the ones that generally kind of capture me the most, because there's freedom that's going on there. And people are like, let's just actually talk about the issue because we need to talk about the issue. So yeah, I'm a flexible birdie, but essentially,
Okay.
whatever's out is, I'll definitely sit and watch it. You
Okay.
know.
Thank
Mhm.
you. I
Yeah.
appreciate sharing.
I really like Ashley's presentation about the identity development. So I would like to share a little bit my experience to respond to the identity.
Mhm.
So I'm from China. So before I came to America in 2017, I totally lived in China, and actually in our country we have no concept of identity.
Right.
Yeah, so I when I arrived in American, I began to exposure to the word vocabulary of identity and the definition of identity, and the I learned how to I realized identity thing in the courses of Warner School.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then I began to awareness of identity of myself. It's a interesting. I think it's a kind of transform of myself and the transform of identity things. Um, it's I think it really matters and impact me a lot. And another thing is, I think most Asian international students will experience the culture shock, you know, and it's not easy to balance um, the identity things because you are half of you are from Asian country and half of you are educated in the freedom concept of America. So how to balance the different culture conflicts and impact, and how to what's the position of our own identity.
Mhm.
I experienced a lot from my classmates. Some of them, after graduation, they went back to China because I think there's some part of reason of identity because they could not acknowledge something, maybe how to integrate into American culture. So that's a really challenging. So they have to go back, and so how to smoothly develop your identity really will influence your the career choice and your living style and for the life. So it really matters, and your excellent knowledge about the identity helped me to increase my identity knowledge about um, to get a deeper understanding about identity. So I love TV. I love watching TV very much. So no matter Chinese TV shows and TV and about American TV. So, but before I came here, I watch Friends a lot. I love Friends a lot. So, and as you say that, I really believe everything showed in Friends is true.
Right.
So that's the image, or that's the American images that and living styles and the friendship, everything present and in the person who has no experience of America when I was in China.
Mhm.
So yeah, so the TV show really has influential impact on the culture and the identities, right? Yeah, it's really matters. And I want to say to Hannah a little bit, it's thank you so much to present the to let me know the truth. I was shocked, and thank you so much. It's a really heavy thing for heart because I have the trauma of experience of losing the close people, so I can experience that heavy thing. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. Ashley or Hannah, do you want to say anything to close?
I'm going to just say I'm all set. The after conversation has been very rich and powerful in terms of what people have been able to offer into the space.
Yeah, thank you all for being here this evening. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Dr. Campbell, for sharing your really, really, truly wonderful work. We have one more day tomorrow, so I hope you'll consider joining us. I did put in the chat what's up tomorrow, but there are just some really amazing people sharing work tomorrow as well. So join us again and keep in touch with one another. And thank you. Much gratitude.